So Shyam, at some point you decided that you've had enough in US and you moved back to India, I think for good, right? And you've been in India for nearly 15 years now.
12 years now.
12 years now, right? What was the prompt? What was your thought process that you want to, I mean, you pretty much practically lived most of your life outside India. You grew up in Libya, studied in US, practiced in US, probably had your green card and stuff. But what was the trigger to just move back here?
There were a couple of different triggers. One was emotionally, and from my own identity perspective, after all this journey, I realized that home is and always going to be India for many reasons. By then I felt that as I said, American society is fundamentally, in my view, toxic to the mind. And the toxicity comes from the quietness, the lack of normal disorder, for example. These are very subtle things.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of life you see in a vibrant place like India, you do not see there, and I think that has some background toxicity. So for multiple reasons, which culminated in me saying that this is home. And once I felt, and I kind of probably was always new, but I had to experience different cultures to realize that, I then wanted to be relevant at home. And the fact was the American structure, because of the payer systems, the amount of control the pharma lobby and the insurance companies has, it's very hard to create the kind of mental health approach that I wanted to do there. You have such strong forces, and including brainwashing of an entire population. And so when I saw what was happening in India, by then it was clear that we are on the precipice of a mental health problem, epidemic of mental illness in this country. I wanted to be part of the solution, and I wanted to do all that I could, and I still do, to avert what I saw in America.
Mm-hmm.
What I saw in America could be the future in India. That's the future we want to avoid. A society that is sick, a mental health system that reflects the sickness of society, people who've been brainwashed to think of their brains, their minds in a certain way, and who have been reduced to objects of a capitalistic machine where they are truly not free and happy. And I think the way we talk about mental health as therapists has a profound effect on society.
Mm-hmm.
We shape ideas about identity, about normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
That's how powerful psychiatry can be. And I want to make sure that we're having the right conversations about mental health in this country.
So you were sick about, the toxicity when it comes to just how society functions in West, as well as you saw that this mental health epidemic is starting to grow, perhaps borrowing a lot of ideas and practices from the West in the process, which is, by the way, true for various lifestyle diseases also.
That's right.
You can talk about that as well. But just keeping the focus on West for a second more, is this, where are we in the West in terms of mental health in the last 12 years since you moved back? I don't know if you're aware of, high level stats. What is happening with this mental health, which is just as a layman perspective I have is just continues to grow. Everyone has some kind of mental health issues.
Suicide rates have doubled in the last decade in the United States. Homicide rates, as you know, are at an all-time high. Substance abuse, the opioid crisis and other epidemics show us substance abuse as an all-time high. So by any metric, the result is not good. Mm-hmm. Mental illness has increased worldwide and definitely in the United States in the last 10 years. So why that is of course because of many social changes, including the rise of technology, social media, which has only worsened this hyper-individualistic, hyper-materialistic, superficial culture. The kind of brain that creates this culture also creates technologies within this culture and expectations. And to me, that's why the movie Matrix was always, a great movie, because that's the American dream right there, plugged into the system.
So same mindset is creating problems.
That's right.
And then trying to break it down, through reductionist method, get into parts and trying to have a solution, which is at times superficial.
Look, when you have a system that really, let's be honest, I mean, the fundamental fuel of our society today is money and economy and materialism. It, therefore, as a mechanism, the society will attempt to make everyone optimize for that function, which is productivity. That's as a living being system, a living, breathing system, that's what's going to happen. And the solutions, therefore, are all about that. For example, companies don't take notice of mental health unless it affects their bottom line and their productivity. And if something improves the productivity but saps the soul of that person, they don't care. So my point is, the society that created the problem, when it creates a solution, is likely to be tainted by the same kind of corrupt thinking. Look at the pharma lobby, Mukesh, in psychiatry. And psychiatry, more than any other medical science, is prone to influence by pharma lobbies because you can create new diseases in my field. We have created 200 diseases since 1960. When the first manual of the DSM came out in 1952, there were 100 disorders. The latest DSM-5 has 300 disorders. Soon, you cannot escape DSM. Every one of us who is watching this, you and I included, will find some way to be diagnosed. We can be diagnosed by the DSM.